listen, if anyone can get to where he's going to be at the Olympia, holy good for you, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I see.
Well, the only person who wasn't at this thing really was Hottie.
But Hottie, and I love Hottie. You know, I had him winning last year. He's not going to make it. And the improvements Derek made since last year is frightening.
Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. Big Ron Partlow here, of course, Dusty Hanshaw, and the producer, Scott McNally. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Remember, IamMutant.com, 20% off, Dusty 20, Big Ron 20, Born Hardcore. IamMutant.com. Get your ISO surge, get your all in, and everyone should get on the gear. We are going to talk about what went down at the Pittsburgh Pro, aren't we? All the guest posers who showed up and caused a bunch of hoopla and, you know, destroyed all the Vegas odds for this year's Vegas Olympia, and all that sort of stuff and what happened. So, and so we got a bunch of listener questions, don't we, Scott?
We've got a bunch. We got a bunch. And by the way, guys, comment with new listener questions because we could definitely use those for the next show. And all your comments, all that stuff, it helps to boost our show up in the algorithm.
They
you guys are
contribute
awesome.
to our incredible lack of preparation. What's up, Dusty?
Yeah, Dusty.
God, I had to raise my hands, getting out of control. I don't have that shirt that Ron is wearing. I was going to mock you for not wearing a mutant, and then I'm like, whoa,
that is
mine.
Cool shirt.
This is the Death Row Records, West Coast Records shirt.
This
was something that we did for fun. We thought
I love
cool.
that.
So,
and it's really on brand for us. We play gangster rap and old school rock and all that stuff. So I really like this one.
Is that like a good material, like the mutant shirts and the Think Big shirts?
Yeah,
the same one that I make mine out of.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like an oversized style shirt.
I like that.
I'm wearing a XXX, which goes to my elbow for leg day. So it's kind of a leg day shirt for me.
Okay.
Scott,
if we're going to talk about the shirt.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you guys go, I just looked because I was being me and not paying attention to you guys. The web shop. They got a weed shirt. Go to the web shop.
Oh, wait, hold on. I can pull this up, guys. Give me just a second here.
Look at me just derailing the show,
Our
talking about West Coast Iron.
Active.
Look at that. Look at these gentlemen in the front there. Ditto Shack's looking huge, by the way.
Just a little bit. You should see him now. He's like weeks out from Toronto, and he's looking really great.
Dude, I've been wanting to get him on forever. To Dusty, we need to hear the story of how they started the gym. Like, I think that would make for an awesome podcast. So I'm sure he's busy now.
And tripping over ourselves.
Where do I go here?
Okay.
What do I hit the shop now?
We'll take a minute here. Pardon me. I'll just try to sell some merch. But so our web shop is open. We've got international shipping. That's the 420 shirt. Yeah,
so
I
fantastic.
love that shirt.
And I like that's on the front. A lot of times people put the big logo on the back. And then, if I'm sitting on the podcast, nobody sees it. You know what I'm saying?
No, right on the front. So that's a 420 shirt. That one was really popular. We got a bunch of cool new stuff up on the web shop. But you can order on there. You want to go on there and check it out. Hoodies, tees.
I kind of
love what sizes do we go to? Yeah. What sizes do we go to here on these things?
4X.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm in.
And a XXX on me goes to my elbow for leg day. So a 4X is going to be plenty big.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I like that. These go to anyways. You guys ship to the U.S. too? Is that working?
Yeah, international shipping. We ship anywhere in the world. We got a really great setup with a guy that we're working with who's handling our printing and our shipping, and we're really excited because I'm tired of going to the post office and mailing hoodies to Germany for 40 bucks a pop. You know, yeah,
it's a lot.
So really cool. But we got lots of stuff, lots more coming. You know, constant new designs. We're working on like a metal shirt right now because we got a gangster rap shirt, right?
Yeah,
so now we got to do a metal shirt. We got to do something that's like metal, you know, like a throwback metal shirt. I'm thinking maybe Iron Maiden font or something.
We'll come up with They have a meet the team. Here's Ron. There's no big on this, Dusty. It just says Ron Partlow. It doesn't say big.
Well, what if I wanted to talk to
It's not
big
on my birth
Ron
certificate.
Partlow?
Yeah.
Is it really not? I thought it would be.
Yeah,
that shocks me.
Not on my birth certificate.
I thought Ron was your middle name. This is so weird.
No, Earl is my middle name.
Oh, that's right. Really?
That's why he owns a restaurant across the street from his house, Earl's.
Yeah.
Ronald Earl. Huh. Does anybody ever call you Earl?
Miami
Ronald
Vice.
Earl?
Family members. Ronald Earl. That'd be something my sister would say if she was mad at me.
Yeah.
That's said a lot.
Yeah.
So we're like 9 minutes into this show, and I've completely derailed it already. Sorry about that.
Dave's middle name is Stanley, and I call him Dave Stanley when he starts swearing a lot. Yeah, David Stanley.
So I was just going to casually ask if I could mention the web shop, and then you guys went and did that. So thank you very much.
Well, there you go.
Everyone watching, go ahead and feel free to order a West Coast shirt.
Don't order the 4X of that one, though. I need it real quick.
Yeah. I'll put links in the description moving forward, guys. So you always see, we always have like our contact info for like Instagram and stuff and coaching. We'll have a link to West Coast Iron moving forward for every show.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, guys. Okay. Pittsburgh. What the hell happened in Pittsburgh? We got guys walking on stage clean with no drugs in their system, still looking crazy. We got guys walking on stage a week out looking crazy. We got Derek Lunsford showing up looking, I don't know, what do you call that?
2-time is what I'm going to call that.
Absolutely freaking nutty is what I call that.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, I was like, listen, if anyone can get to where he's going to be at the Olympia, holy, good for you, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I see.
Well, the only person who wasn't at this thing really was Hottie.
But Hottie, and I love Hottie. I had him winning last year. He's not going to make it. And the improvements Derek made since last year is frightening.
Yeah, he's humongous, man.
Yeah,
his adductor could take out his knee. Gotta be careful.
And he's like shockingly lean. Like,
yeah.
I wonder what he weighs there. Does anyone have any clue what Lunsford weighs?
I know it's a lot because he looks even shorter now.
Look at that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bonkers.
Yeah, he's pretty lean, man. I know, like, those, how even if you're like 7% body fat, pro-tan kind of makes you look weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you only really look good with tan on when you're ripped. So like all these guys, you got the kind of puffy face and, full of food and all that, but he's lean, man. If you were up close to him, you'd think, damn, he's pretty good shape. That's, I don't know how many weeks it would take him to dial down to stage, but probably not very long from there.
He looks incredible. That's
so who
Vegas
else
odds are obvious. Yeah, who else we got? That's just crazy though.
We got let's see, where's Nick at? I got one of Nick's pictures here if I can find that. Here he is.
So is Nick 1 week out? Like, is in New York this week?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's another topic. I don't know if you guys got spent time to look into this, but the amount of fans who do not understand that what you look like a week out when you're in the evening eating and drinking and traveling all day. That's not what Nick's like. Number one, he looks great, but number two, that's great. Nowhere near what you're going to see on stage. I saw people, and it was like, it took everything I had to not comment. I'm like, are you dumb? What he looks like 24 hours before the show doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
1 hour of one day. That's what really matters.
Yeah. Yeah. No, don't worry about Nick. Nick's team knows what they're doing. He
looks awesome. But
him and Jansen made a post. I saw that.
Oh, did
Jansen
they?
Jansen made a post, and he was like, "Hey guys, and he basically said what you just said, Dusty. Like, a week out is really a long time. It's 1 hour of one day. I don't know if he used that exact phrase. But he's like, but by the way, here's what he looks like right now. And then it was one of his basement back pictures, and he's looking freaking
striated from head to toe.
Yeah, full and nutty. So there's that.
Yeah.
I don't think this looks terrible though, and maybe that's
because
he
looks great.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't see it. I wouldn't look at this and be like, "Oh my god, this looks." Like, I just see like a guy he doesn't look like he's ready for stage this minute, but like he's got it all there, right? Like,
it could be tomorrow,
right? Exactly, exactly.
And also too, if you see the back shot, his glutes are striated. So I mean, all that matters up until a few days out is did you get the fat off?
Right.
Really all that matters. So he's got the fat off. So, let's just give him a week. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Nick has looked awesome at every show he's done.
He's never missed. So why do you think he's going to miss now?
Yeah.
And this is Samson. Here we got Samson, who what was the rumor, Dusty? He's got nothing in his system, isn't it the rumor?
Yeah, well, if you're in the game a long time, I promise you, he's cleaned out for a minute, and he looks unbelievable still. Yeah. But again, that was another thing. and I understand it's the same with all sports, but as a bodybuilder and a fan of bodybuilding, sometimes you just kind of wish we could be a little more open, because it's like, guys, he looks that good. You're looking at him next to Nick Walker and whatever and going, oh, he doesn't look that great. It's like, well, he's in a different moment right now.
He's not a week out at the moment.
You know, like, think back to the Jay interview. Like, watch what's going to happen when he gets things rolling on his prep, and you see him a month after. You're going to be like, oh,
yeah. I remember the old Pittsburgh days when Jay and Ronnie would show up like full blown body fat off season. And like it was like they didn't even give a fuck. Like these guys look like they had this marked on their calendar, at least back in the day. Like the 90s guys and the 2000s guys, it was like, oh, I got Pittsburgh next week. Oh yeah, whatever. Like they just show up looking however they wanted, and it didn't matter. And then come Olympia time, it was completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nobody said anything either, too. Ronnie come up there with sunglasses on and just
oh, that's right, the sunglasses
blowing, you know what I mean?
And military boots. Remember he'd wear the boots?
That's right.
Yeah.
Everybody just was like, hell yeah. Freaked
Jay wouldn't even
out.
wear posing trunks. He'd show up in like the gas 3/4 shorts.
Right.
He wasn't trying to show off the glutes at that weight.
No, 300-pound Jay. Strolling on stage.
How about this guy here? Who's this fella? He's wearing a hat on stage. He's got the guest poser look going on, you know what I mean? With the baseball cap.
Hunter looked good, man. If you watch the video of him running through his shots, he's humongous.
Yeah, he is.
And the legs and calves on him are just like, those calves are just ridiculous.
They are. Just legs overall, man. He's like full blowing here. Everything is looking crazy round. I'll see if I can find that video and put it up post-production for the audience.
I like the hat. I like the hat. Just make it even more unofficial.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
You know, he takes so much flack for the hat, which makes me even happier that he doesn't stop doing it. Yeah. Just like, why do you care? I did a real guest posing in a backwards hat when I was a kid. I'm like, I like this hat.
Yeah, that's there you go.
Just to make sure that any pictures that might show up on the internet, it's very clear that you're guest posing.
Yeah. Let's make it. I'm bad enough when I'm in shape. I don't need help when I'm not in shape. Jeez.
Yeah, like even the average layman on the street would see that photo and go, "It doesn't look very official."
Yeah,
you know, you want to take all that away. Andrew jacked,
looking full as a house here.
Yeah,
his arms, dude. Oof.
Yeah, no kidding. I would love to see him when he poses, though. I know he likes to do that, like, kind of pretty off to the side thing. I'd love to see him just, like, fill that chest up. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously, you know, it's just, I'm just a fan of the sport, but I want to see him, like, expand everything, because I feel like he's such a big dude up top. That waist is still going to look small, but I guess he likes that, doesn't he? He kind of likes that, like, the pretty off to the side kind of thing.
There's always been a couple of poses where it's not that I think he would look better if he did them differently. It's I just would like to see.
That's what it is. I want to see it. And
then maybe I'd see them side by side and go, "Oh yeah, you're right."
Yeah. I got a great story for you about that, Ron. When I was working with JJ Marsh, he'd call the most muscular, and I'd always do like the clasped hands, and I'd hit it, and he's like, "Nice." And then he'd go, "All right, hit another one," and I'd hit the hands on hips. And he goes, hit a crab. So I hit a crab. He goes, "Oh, don't ever do that again."
Yeah. Maybe there's a reason we don't see it. You know?
Understood why you don't do that.
Yeah. And it's funny because the hands on hip is one that a lot of guys that I work with want to hit, and some of them I'm like, "That's not for you."
Yeah.
That one's not for you. You got to have at least one hand in front to make it just. But when you put both hands on your hips, you get too like spread out and too thinned out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know.
Those aren't shots for people that are smaller. So, but I will always remember that. I was like, I never have to question Jay's honesty.
Yeah. Right.
Ooh. Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah. Don't do that. Let's just forget about the crab for you.
Yeah.
Who else did we have up there?
Let's see. I think who else did I have here?
Everybody, didn't we?
Lunsford.
No. The Martian. Hello.
Oh yeah,
he was up there too.
Yeah, Fitzwater was up there.
Yeah,
he commented on a reel this morning too.
Did he? I got a shot of him here somewhere. I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, we posted that reel this morning about going to a dark place. You know, the one about going to a dark. And he commented. He goes, "This is funny to hear because I actually think about like going full Michael Myers on people." And I was like, I get that. I'm not saying I never did that. I
Look how small.
totally.
Look at how small his waist is there. You know,
Yeah.
He's
Well,
made some
he's in
wacky
great
changes
shape.
to his physique, though. Like he's always been great, but the waist, the shoulders. I mean, the X is just a whole nother level now.
Yeah, the separation in the quads is so deep. As Chris would say, I remember Chris talking about cuts in the quads, and he goes, "Yeah, you know, Roden didn't just have swipe; he had chip."
Yeah, I love that one too. You could put the whole card in
That's
there. If you needed
classic.
The
to.
whole card in, yeah. Yeah.
That's classic.
Yeah, he looks great there. I'm excited to see him at the O. I'm very stoked that he's on his way there after a couple of years of maybe should-haves.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I remember seeing him in Dallas take second to Andrew Jack a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And was that last year? I don't know, 2 years
Dude,
ago.
I don't even
2 years
know.
ago.
I think two.
And he looked fantastic, but he just wasn't quite ready to like win a show. You know what I mean? And now this year he's going to the Olympia. So I mean that's just, you know, banging away, training super, super hard.
Yeah, he's young
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Like he's still really young. He could
Yeah.
continue to grow as long as he stays healthy. You know what I mean? Don't get hurt
Yep.
because he's a hard trainer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he's one of those
Yep.
guys that's really banging. And now I know what's going through his head while he's doing those crazy sets. He's thinking about
He's Michael Myers and people.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, exactly.
fucking slashing throats.
right.
Yeah. I get that. I like when we talked about going to a dark place. The topic was, do you have to be like that?
Right.
And I was like,
Yeah.
no, you don't have to be at all. But I do remember doing it when I was younger. There'd be moments when I'd just be like slitting throats, you know, and it would be for like scary shit.
I just love the idea that people that can't seem to get through people's heads with all things of bodybuilding, which is whatever works for you.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you got JP listening to the Disney music
Lion King
and you know,
soundtrack.
yeah, and hitting 900-pound, you know, I don't know, one-arm presses, and then and then you got Martin, you know, going like, you know, just trying to kill people over here. It's like,
Yeah.
whatever works, dude. Who cares?
I remember Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins was saying he has his best weightlifting sessions to 80s power ballads.
Oh yeah.
Because they're so emotional, you know. So he's listening to like, don't know what you got till it's gone. You know, he's listening to Every Rose Has Its Thorn, and he's
he's
listening
got
to
Peter
like,
Cetera rolling through.
you know, Guns N' Roses, Don't Cry. You know, he's
Yeah.
listening to Peter Cetera. Yeah.
It's a powerful stuff there.
Yeah, you get the Karate Kid soundtrack playing, and you know, Top Gun. He's got all
You know,
that
the majority of our listeners have no idea what we're talking about.
stuff. Yeah. Okay. We get some
I don't think-
some Spotify hits, you know, for the right music now.
Right? I don't think I ever told you guys this before, but you know Jordan Janowitz. He's a 212 guy, lives down in Texas now. So grew up here, and I know I told you guys a story of like watching him come up, which has been a pleasure to see his whole evolution. There was a point in time that he had a training partner. They both, they trained just like Branch basically. And Jordan was strong as hell. Always was an extremely strong kid. Yeah. So he comes in the gym, the two of them, and they had what was it? Jason hockey mask. It was Halloween.
Yeah.
And the Michael Myers mask. They did their whole workouts wearing those masks. So you look over there, Jordan's probably got like 6 plates on the bar, deadlifting with the Michael Myers get up on. You know, it was crazy. And then they started doing it for like it wasn't just that day. They started bringing the masks for a little while. Yeah.
I'm gonna need him if he sees this to post one of those videos or pictures because I know they're somewhere.
Yeah,
I need him.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
I
In
like
fact, that inside of Metroflex makes perfect sense to me.
I remember his training partner. He told me one time, he was like, yeah, they told me I couldn't wear my mask in the gym. And I was like, that guy's got a mask on. And he's pointing at one of those oxygen restriction masks. You know what I mean? He's like, if he could wear his mask, I should be able to wear my mask.
Oh man!
In fairness,
Shout out
it's
to Jake.
more
Shout out to
douchey
Jake.
to wear the fake one than just the Michael Myers mask.
Yeah. Which is
those don't
also
do
going to cut
shit.
your oxygen too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my training partner one time, he trained. It was Halloween, and he just showed up to train in his bathrobe. Yeah, he just had like short shorts on, and then just so you know, in case he had a malfunction of his wardrobe, right?
Right.
He
Thank
just had his bathrobe on, tied around. He had a towel around his neck, and he showed up and flip flops, and he's like, "Hey," and that was his Halloween costume. It was shower. He's just in his bathrobe.
I just love that he walked in like it was nothing. Hey, you right? What are we hitting today?
Yeah, he shows up just like he's going for a sauna, right? It's like, okay, you got some back to do. Hop in the lap, pull down. Did some one-arm dumbbell rows with his bathrobe on. I remember it was awesome.
That's amazing.
I just thought it was hilarious. I was just wearing 90s. I wore like all boat neck. I wore like a boat neck shirt, and I was trying to be 90s bodybuilder, and he wore a bathrobe.
Nice.
He definitely trumped you on the bathrobe because I do the 90s bodybuilder now, and it's not even Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it, by the way.
That's cool.
We got to get a boat neck on our website.
That'd be
And
cool.
a boat neck, one of them West Coast Iron shirts for sure.
Yeah, we'll try it.
Sorry, another shameless plug. Moving on.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Hey, I had a question that I wanted to bring up to you guys. Actually, I have a personal question. We'll get back to that one, though. It has nothing to do with bodybuilding. So, but we need to do like a little more bodybuilding stuff before we got to it. So I wanted to throw this one up from Raven. He asked us, he says, "Hey, Scott, Ron, and Dusty, I've got a question. I am trying to grow my freaking lateral head, but it won't grow on one side. I push it with the same form, but it still doesn't work. What am I doing wrong?" Probably hard to say without seeing it, without being here. What exercises should I do to grow them? Thanks, and tell Ron the show was better without him. LOL, joking.
I'm so happy it wasn't me for once. That was so great.
You watched that one episode where I was gone and just
I guess.
really
It's like-
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
He actually signed up for the Patreon that day. He was like, "Oh, fuck it,
I
I'll support
expected
these
to
guys."
miss you, and it just didn't happen. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, we'd have to see pictures of how he says the one side won't grow. Sometimes this is all in people's heads. People say this does. My one
Usually.
pec's bigger than the other, and I look and I'm like, they look the same to me,
Right?
But if he does have like one side side delt that's just flatter than the other, I mean, there could be something wrong with that shoulder mechanically. Maybe when he does lateral raises, it's just his trap kind of shrugging up and the actual side delt's not doing a lot of work. I mean, there could be a mechanical issue. Maybe just getting the shit massaged out of it might open it up and get it working better. And who knows, maybe it's got some scar tissue in it as he shot the crap out of him.
Maybe he hasn't shot it enough.
Or maybe, yeah. The solution lies in a bottle. Yeah.
More oil.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a couple things I would investigate, though. It could be a mechanical issue or scar tissue or something like that, too.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you a segue question then. Or delts in general, what are your guys' go-to if somebody just wanted to like blow the crap out of their delts and grow them? What would you guys suggest?
People overcomplicate everything. I mean, your delt raises to the front, raises to the side, does a rear delt motion, and presses overhead. That's it. Those are really the four things. You can
Touch all of those.
You can
do all those things.
Yeah, and then technically, the three heads of your delts, each head has three main bundles in it, but you don't need to break it down like that. You don't need to surgically, think like that. I really like one-arm cable side laterals because you get a good stretch load on the side delt, especially if you raise the pulley up a little bit, like to knee height or just below your knee. Then you get a lot of tension across the body at the bottom. So there's a lot of stretch load on the side delt. Whereas a dumbbell lateral has very little tension at the bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all the tension is as you bring the dumbbells up. So I think that, side lateral movements, there's lots of good ones, any good machine or dumbbells or anything. But then I also really like single arm cable side laterals. Again, Dorian did them.
Yeah.
They're in the Blood and Guts video.
Must
and
be
there's
real.
a reason why he loved them. And he probably wasn't even thinking like that. He probably just thought these really hit my delts.
Yeah.
But that's why they hit your delts, is there's a lot of cross body tension in the stretch position. So I really like single arm cable side laterals. If you're trying to bring your delts up, that should be one of your movements. And then, a pressing movement where you can safely move a lot of weight. I have no problem with giving up on free weight presses. I got no problem with that. I loved dumbbell presses in my day, but eventually I got to the point where they just weren't practical anymore. And as long as you can overload your pressing movement in a quality rep, that's very important. And the rest of the delt work is, rear delts. Like, it's not rocket science, and Dusty loves those swings, those heavy rear delt swings that he used to do. He really felt like those made a difference on his rear delts. I did a lot of bent over dumbbell laterals,
I did those with you.
Yeah.
When we trained shoulders at like 2018, I think it was, at West Coast. Man, I walked away from that workout. My shoulders were fried. And the rear delts we did, if I recall, we did bent over heavy rear delts, hands facing this way. And then after we kind of failed on that, we turned our hands like that and like pumped out like 8 more,
Yeah, like partials almost, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just keep it simple. I never did a lot of front raises because I quite often had irritation in like my bicep tendons and stuff when I would do them. But
me too.
I do them at the end now, and I go lighter and I do like sets of 20, and they just blow my delts up. But I don't press overhead nearly as heavy as I used to, so that's why I do them now.
Yeah.
What's that thing, Dusty, that Ron was talking about? You said you like to do your heavy overload thing. What was that?
Oh, it's actually a John Meadows move. It's just a dumbbell swing. So you're hanging off like an incline bench, and you really let your shoulders like fall forward, and your arms just pull to the ground. And it's a very short range of motion. But like if you were doing rear laterals with 40s, you'd use like 80s for these.
Yeah.
And you're going to do like 50 reps. So like 20 feels like, what am I doing? But just keep going. And the one thing he pressed to me when we were working together was you don't let him touch at the bottom because that takes away tension.
Yeah.
So if you let's say you're at 37, you bring them down, they touch, that rep doesn't count. You got to do 37 again. So you just kind of keep them rolling. But I did those today. Actually, I sent them to a client because she's never seen them. But yeah, to me, the answer is really simple. What do you feel? Yeah. That's it. Ron, since my injury, I do all lateral movement. And then if I even bother pressing, it's at the very end when I'm safe and warm and I can go lighter. But then on the flip, my delts were always crazy round. And for most of my career, all I did was shoulder press, nothing else.
Right.
So it's like, you just don't get caught up in the right or wrong way. And that seems to be the problem with, to me, training lore is like one or the other. My delts, I can't press barely at all now. Like 315 for 10 is brutal. And it's like, okay, well then, hey, that's in a Smith.
Jeez, that would crush me. It would break everything.
But the laterals, like you said, I do the cable start. I start with cable every time behind the back, the way Jay does them.
Oh yeah,
leaned way over from the back. Love those. They get everything warmed up. And then I really love doing full laterals with a partial lateral standing superset. Those just suck. Plus, they're great because people watch you and they're like, he's using too much weight on those laterals. He could barely go up because they didn't see the first one.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be right back. I have to change something that's going on.
Uh-oh. Something's going on that needs to be changed at Ron's house.
I don't like these vague things.
That was pretty vague. That's for sure. That was
like
vague.
I want to hear like I'm fighting an intruder or
right.
Emily leaned forward and she's not fully dressed. I mean, anything that like might make me go,
guys.
I know what you're doing. He'll be back in 120 seconds. Don't worry about it.
Right.
I'm actually going to put a little timer and I'll know exactly what he was doing based on how long it takes.
Okay.
So
we'll see what happens there.
What else we got?
I was going to tell you, I think, so I always did really good with shoulders. Like shoulders were something I never had to think about. But some people, I see them doing lateral raises, and this isn't directed to our guy that questioned, but just in general, I see them, they're not getting a good connection. And it was a few years back, a friend of mine that I worked with, Andrea Watson, she had this great line that helped me help other people. And that was, instead of thinking about with the laterals going up, think about going out. Like you're trying to almost like touch the walls on either side of the room. And I feel like when I do that, and it helps you to keep your shoulders down too. You're not like, shrugging up and using your traps. Because I see sometimes people are kind of like trying to use their traps to get it up. But if you kind of press those shoulders down and reach out to kind of touch either side of the room, I feel like that's a good foundation. I don't necessarily think it's going to help our guy who has one shoulder bigger than the other, but just in general, I was filling while Ron was gone, basically.
His good shoulder will get much bigger if he does that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There's that.
Anyways,
Yeah, reach for the floor at the bottom of the rep. Reach for the walls. I don't mind. I let the traps functionally contract.
yeah, move.
But it's kind of the top half of the rep, and I reach for the floor at the bottom. So
Yeah.
okay.
All right. Let's see here. He says, I don't even know. Okay. So this is something that came up on Blood, Sweat, and Gear the other day. A different listener asked. This is a Patreon question. I want to get your guys' feedback. Very similar topic. It's from Jack on Patreon. He says, it's not really a question, but more of a statement. Listening to your latest podcast, so he must be referring to Blood, Sweat, and Gear, and a listener question about wives or girlfriends knowing about your gear use. My wife knows about all the gear I've ever taken. Sometimes I discuss my cycles with her. In my experience, if I were to hide something like that from my wife and she was to find out, it would bring so many questions as to if she thought I was hiding other things like affairs and things like that. So the question was, do you tell your significant other that you're on gear?
Oh, absolutely. They know before you even date.
How else are you going to teach them how to give you shots?
Yeah.
I think that's what the guy said there. They're like, they're like, my wife and girlfriend, and they give me shots. They do my shots.
And girlfriend? I was wondering if he told his wife and his girlfriend or just his wife.
First of all,
But I didn't want to bring that up. Like,
it should be obvious.
This complaining, you're starting to sound a lot like my wife, sweetheart.
Yeah.
I love that Scott threw that in. I'm like, whoops. His wife and girlfriend. Whoa. That's
tell the wife, you don't tell the girlfriend. Yeah.
Commitment.
Yeah, no, you should look like you use gear. It should be
there shouldn't be a
obvious.
question, right?
Yeah. You know
If they're not sure, you're not doing this right.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you're dating people that are too far removed from your bubble, and it's just not going to work anyways. Because if they don't know you use gear, they're also going to wonder why you have to eat again. They're also going to question if your workout why is your workout so important? What do you mean it's leg day? Like I could never bother with not having all that already handled. You know what I mean?
A lot of breaking in to do that you just don't have time for.
Not breaking anybody in. Not breaking anybody in.
No.
That goes for many things. Yeah. You got to come pre-aware of what's about to happen. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very key, though. You're right. Like, when you sit down for a relationship and you realize you're like, this could be a relationship, you got to cover things. Credit scores, drug use, the basics. Church.
Yeah. Credit scores is a good one.
Oh, hell yeah, it is. You kidding me? I want that immediately.
Day one.
Do you need me to co-sign for anything? Well, yeah, no. We're done here.
My point, the only thing I said was but what about new relationships? My thought was I don't know if I necessarily want to jump straight into that, because who knows how this is going to go, and could it be something that is used against you later? You know what I'm saying? Like, if things don't go well with the relationship, and who have you disclosed? Does she know your friends are using gear too? Then you know what I mean? Like, who have you put in danger by disclosing this information? Wife,
All of my
absolutely.
friends use gear. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying. Like, and now she knows they do too.
Yeah. The key here, Scott, with your twisted mindset is don't do wrong by women, and they're less crazy. Every woman that's ever went crazy on me, I was like, yeah, that was me. My bad.
I pushed all those buttons.
Those fuses. That's on me.
Just walking around.
Surprised it took you so long. But anyways,
yeah.
All right. How about this one?
Crazy people to begin with.
Here's a good one. Question for It's Just Bodybuilding. On the last episode, Ron said that he lived out of a gym bag for a year. I'm curious.
Hockey bag.
Okay. He says, I'm curious to some details. How exactly did he do this? How many clothes did he have? And how did he wash them? What did he do for his food at the time?
It was a hockey bag, actually.
Thank you.
It was a Bauer, I believe, a Bauer hockey bag.
That's bad.
So it's bigger, right?
Bigger. Oh, yeah, it's big.
Very big.
Pretty big. I had 4 pairs of sweatpants, a couple pairs of shorts, probably 10 t-shirts, maybe 2 pairs of jeans, a couple pairs of shoes, George Foreman grill, blender. And that was pretty much it. Shave kit, had some books, you know, that's pretty much it. That was all I had, all my possessions in the world. And then I was always staying with people. So like I'd rent a room off a friend, so I'd use his laundry. And it's not like I was homeless. It's not like I had a gym bag on the street, but that's just all I had. So if someone just said, hey, you got to move out today, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna just grab my bag and leave. Like, you know, or hey, you could stay here for a month. It was the last day that I was there, it was easy to move out. Like, it's not like I owned anything. So that's what I mean by living out of a gym bag, you know, and I could pick up and go travel anytime I wanted, you know, like I'd say, oh, I'm going to go to Sydney, Australia and check it out. And I just grab my hockey bag and get on a bus. And so that's how I lived for a couple of years, 2 years in Australia. I pretty much lived like that. You know, I eventually did acquire some stuff, but I kind of left it at my buddy's house that I would kind of return to every little while. Like I had a guitar there and stuff, and I might go travel and then come back and my guitar would still be at my buddy's house. And, you know, so it was like, you know, I just lived out of a hockey bag, and you just learn to keep life simple and be very, you know, organized and stay on top of your laundry, you know.
It's easy to be organized when you don't have as much stuff too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's one of the reasons.
Do you think more people should live out of a hockey bag? And I'm being serious. Like, have a time in their life where they keep it simple. Like, I feel like there's down the line you can do all this stuff. Like, I've been pushing that to the girls. I'm like, you should at some point move. Where? I don't know. Somewhere.
Well, I still talk about how I still live out of my shaving kit. Like, my main shaving kit that sits on my counter in my bathroom has all my stuff in it. And when I go on a trip, like if I'm like, hey, I'm going to England today, I just zip up my shaving kit and go to England. Like, I don't have to like go
find your things.
I don't have to go through my drawers and decide what I'm taking. I have everything that I need in that shaving kit already. So I have other stuff that's in my cupboards and stuff, but that's not what I need.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like I got all, you know, 3 different types of clippers and my head shaver and, you know, a bunch of different lotions and, you know, all sorts of face creams and stuff. But what I need is in my shaving kit, and I can just take that wherever I go. And that's all I need. I'll be home in a week. I don't need to take anything else with me. And so that's kind of, I still live like that, you know? So, you know, like my deodorant doesn't go in the cupboard. It just goes in my shaving kit by the sink every day. And I just pull it out, use it, put it back in my shaving kit. So I'm always ready to go.
It's a traveling man right there, Dusty. That's what that is.
Ready.
Well, you know, like Jason Bourne said, you have to be ready to leave within 15 minutes and disappear.
So well, I'm just saying he might be Jason Bourne.
Never know.
Never know. Love that. Watch that whole series on the last trip, by the way. All of them during the flights.
Okay.
Yeah, fun. Anyway, moving forward.
Yeah, but I think it's really good. Like, I know a lot of people even tell me, they're like, oh, I got so much clutter at home. Like, I've had people tell me that, and I'm like, I hate that.
Yeah.
I have no problem. Just the other day, I went through my closet and I grabbed every shirt that I haven't worn in 4 months and just ruthlessly threw it in a garbage bag and donated it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give 2 shits. Like, you know, haven't worn those pants. Boom. I don't have any try to have no attachment to them. There's maybe a couple things I will keep, you know, long term. But
when I was in Scottsdale, Ron, I was in the same house for 4 years, and I had stuff in the garage like boxes, and anything that I hadn't needed in the 4 years I was there, I had a dumpster delivered, and I just threw it. I didn't even open it. Do it in the dumpster.
I love it.
I'm like,
I love it.
It's fine. And I remember people are like, what's in there? I'm like, don't know. I haven't needed it for 4 years. Who gives a shit what's in it? Nothing.
I remember I worked for a moving company when I was a kid, and we got this call to go move this guy. You know, he's selling his acreage and moving to, you know, somewhere else. So the whole crew goes out there, big moving truck, and we get there and he's got like a giant 5-bedroom house. And we're like, oh, this is going to be a huge move. This is all day. Like, we're going to be here for 12 hours. And we get working, and he has bedrooms where you can barely open the door.
Oh, God.
And the bedroom is full to the roof with boxes of books.
Oh no, the worst thing you could. I would have quit that day.
Yeah.
That on the spot.
That was one of the last days I worked for that moving company. It was brutal. And I remember we had all these dollies. So we were piling boxes of books up, you know, 6 feet tall and wheeling the dollies down the ramps. And That was probably, I still think that might have been the hardest day of work I ever put in my life. And I grew up on a farm. And that day I remember thinking like, this is brutal. Like these, and the guys I work with, guys that work for a moving company, that's just normal to them, right? I was like, these guys, man, these guys are another level of being able to just blue collar all day long. And I remember thinking that this guy's fucking crazy. Like, why is he moving all this stuff? Because he's taking all of this stuff to his next house.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking, like, what an idiot. Like, just leave it.
Just read him again?
Walk away.
Read him again?
Yeah, like they're not on a bookshelf. He doesn't have a nice big mahogany bookshelf with all the books he's read.
Yeah.
He has boxes of them piled to the roof in bedrooms he hasn't been in 10 years. And then I remember we got the house empty. The basement was the worst. And it wasn't dirty. He wasn't like a hoarder like you see on TV where there's like rats and dog poop and everything. He was like just a pack rat. He never threw anything away. And then we were almost done the house. And I remember thinking, oh, we're almost done. And then the one guy comes up to me, goes, Kate, let's go do the barn.
Oh!
And I'm like, oh, I never thought about the barn. Like I was just, my heart just like, oh God, we're not almost done. And so we go to the barn and he's got like massive stacks of like broken boards and 2x4s and pieces of plywood with like half painted.
Light a match.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking gasoline and torch this entire place. You don't need to move this. He moved all of it. We loaded all of it on those 2 trucks.
Wow.
And I'm like, he's taking broken pieces of plywood that are half painted. Like, what is he doing?
He was like,
he wanted everything.
His perspective was like, I don't have to do anything. I just pay these guys to do it.
Yeah.
It's no skin off my back.
$9,000 to move.
And then I remember
those books.
I remember we were there all day. Like we got back to the warehouse at like 8:00 at night.
Yeah.
And I remember my boss was at the warehouse and he goes, yeah, this guy's a weird one. I guess he was a professor. He goes, yeah, this guy's a weird one. He's a professor. And the land he's moving to is like the house he's moving to is much smaller than the one he just left.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, I don't know what he's going to do on the other end.
Yeah.
But, some people they just can't part with their shit. And I think it's crazy to me.
Victoria likes books, but thankfully, and some of them are like old. Like one of her favorite places is John King Books, this old, huge used bookstore in Detroit, and she'll find like stuff about like the reproductive history, like the first contraceptive used in the 30s book or something.
Who doesn't want to read that,
right? So she has stuff like that, but thankfully, she also does ebooks, which is so much easier to move an ebook. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, or an audiobook.
Yeah, an audiobook. Those are good.
Nikki reads books and then gives them away. That's her thing.
That's what you're supposed to do.
This is good. Here you go.
You're not supposed to loan books. You're supposed to give them away. That's the thing. They say don't loan books. Give them away.
We got like 5 books in this house and she read 1 million. It was gone.
Yeah.
All right. How about this one? Okay, so for the next, it's just bodybuilding. When a pro is said to need to bring up a body part for the Olympia, that's only like 6 months away. Let's say it's quad sweep or back. How do they change their training in such a short amount of time to bring something up?
Site injections. Wait. Sorry. Whoa. We're not doing the truth today. We're doing something else. Okay.
Well, I'm not sure if it actually. So the thing is, the intent to bring it up doesn't mean it actually comes up.
Yeah.
Right. So you can change your training to bring something up, but whether or not you're actually able to elicit any change in that short period of time, especially while you're getting ready for a show and you're in a deficit, that's a whole other question. So some people are like, "Oh, I started my prep, so I'm going to double my hamstring volume to really try to bring my hams up." And I'm like, well, technically doubling your hamstring volume might trigger some serious hamstring growth in you. Maybe that's what you need, but you missed the boat because now you're in a deficit. You should have been doing that in the off season when you were in a surplus, because now you're like kind of stacking the cards against yourself. I mean, you still might get some hypertrophy because, there's a lot of things that go on to cause growth, but it's not, you're not, doing yourself any favors by giving yourself 12 weeks to improve your hamstrings all of a sudden in a deficit.
Right.
So, yeah.
You got to factor in too, is like there's a genetic limitation where we're trying to do the best we can to bring something up. But I always like to point out things like Johnny Jackson and Branch Warren trained legs together for years. Now look at both their legs. Let's just leave it at that. Like Johnny can go rep per rep, all these things, now they both train back together for years also. What, again, sets, reps, everything. Look at Johnny's back, look at Branch's. It's just one of those things where you can do your best to try to target something like Ron said, but what's going to happen is whatever's within your body. No judge ever told Johnny like, hey, you should probably bring up your quad sweep. He's like, yeah, no shit. Right. Like, I wish it would too. You know what I mean? So I just think guys need to keep that in mind. You try to be creative and try to make your legs better, but don't think you're going to bring up your quad sweep. Like, how do I really what they're saying is your legs need to look bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll add too, sometimes like what judges tell you and what you need to do are two different things. Like they might say like you need more leg size, but it doesn't necessarily mean more muscle. Like maybe your legs got depleted. Maybe you need to fill out more. Maybe you do have weaker legs, but you could have filled them out better. You know what I mean? Like just as an example, I'm just trying to think, you know what I mean? Though, like the judges might say like, you need more detail or something when really it's like, I don't know, like maybe it's a level of go with me here, guys, to try to say what I'm. Tell me what I'm trying to say.
I got one. Yeah. When she says do whatever you want, she doesn't actually mean do whatever you want. Is that what you were saying or no?
It's close enough. It's close enough.
Wait.
It's close enough.
She says it's fine. It is not fine. It is not fine.
Yeah. I tell people a lot, I get a lot of clients, especially at like the regional level and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, I should have carved up more. The judges said my pecs need to be fuller. And I'm like, no. Your pecs need to be bigger.
Yeah. Well, there's an example. Yeah.
Another muffin wouldn't have made you better. You ate like 2,000 grams of carbs in a couple of days and you were getting great pumps coming into the show. You're nice and you're plenty full. You just need bigger pecs.
Yeah.
Don't think that it was a carb problem. You look great. Look at all your photos. Your chest didn't shrink. It's just, you just need a bigger chest. But the judge doesn't know that. So they say, we need more fullness. It's like,
it's the same as the word stringy. You know what I mean? I've had clients say like, I feel like coming stringy. I'm like, you're actually smaller than you thought you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just don't have the muscle you thought you were. Yeah. That's another thing too. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We got one here from Rosie. Fine. She says, best movements for women to get a dense, thick back, and how would you program their frequency for back training?
Well, it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. Your anatomy of your back is exactly the same. Your lat does the same thing. Your trap does the same thing. Everything on your back functions the same way as a man. And your muscle tissue is made of the exact same stuff as a man. So whenever someone says, what should a woman do for bigger delts? It's the exact same stuff a man should do for bigger delts. You got to get that out of your head. Mm-hmm. And so, there's lots of movements. I mean, what's the best movement? Well, a movement that you can load and train really hard on with great form and a lot of tension. So there's a lot of different things you could select. I tell people though, get really good at barbell rows. Get really good at one-arm dumbbell rows. And when I say get really good at them, I mean learn to do them so that when you do them, your back explodes with blood and you get a crazy pump and you get sore. Because now that you really know how to use your back. You know what I mean? So, you could do bent rows and get strong at them, but you might not be moving the weight with your back. It might not look that, you know what I mean? But so when I say get good with them, I just mean get good at those exercises so that you like doing them and you get results from them. And that'll translate to pretty much any machine you could put your hands on. You know, any handle you could grab, anything. If you know how to use your back with a dumbbell and a barbell, then all the other machines will be really easy for you to figure out and use properly. And train hard. You know, Simple. Don't be afraid to, get a little. I think back is one of those body parts where, you keep your form. Form is really important, but you can also get a lot out of a few little cheat reps too. The back is really good body part for that.
Agreed.
So be aggressive. Train aggressively with back.
All right. Anything else you wanted to add to that one, Dusty?
No, I mean, he pretty much nailed everything. I'm glad you led with the fact that our backs are the same. Very important. That's asked all the time. You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing is girls tend to be lighter. So, you know how if someone is really good at doing chins properly, they usually have a great back.
Right.
Like people that can do chins where you watch the back do all the work, they usually have great backs. Like it's a great movement if you can do them right. Yeah. And so women are lighter. So sometimes that movement is like a great movement for them because their body weight to strength ratio can be like really, really effective. Whereas like, Dusty at 310 pounds wasn't the best chinner,
No.
So.
All right. Dusty, I saw in one of your recent posts, you mentioned bulking and then cutting. So bulking first. Would you ever do the opposite and have a client cut first before bulking up? I've been on a cut for a while and I'm trying to decide whether I need to start bulking.
It depends on how fat you are. I mean, that's the magic. Like
ding, ding, ding.
When somebody comes to me and they say I need to put on size, I might say, yes, you do. But the first thing we have to do is get rid of some of this fat. You have more fat than we need. Let's come down. So that's one thing. And so the order, I don't know which post they're talking about. It might have been individually to what I was doing in the moment. Mm-hmm. But it's the biggest thing that I push back onto people is everybody's different as far as how it accrues and holds body fat. Also how it affects training. Like if I can look back at one of the things that I didn't pay enough attention to was when my body fat reached a level where I was starting to have issues with low back tightness and things like that were affecting my training. So, you're hurting yourself if the training is getting hindered by weight. So figure those things out and you're good to go. But then simultaneously, I'm not someone that thinks that, I think that social media has really hurt a lot of people's ability to put on size because they're looking at top guys or girls or even people who are just posting old pictures because they don't want to put pictures of themselves up shirtless in the off season. So they're thinking they can stay leaner than they should. And, not to just keep rambling with a sentence with nothing but commas, but also factor in the fact that if you don't want to abuse yourself with gear, then you're going to have to go a little heavier. You could stay really lean if you just want to take a ton of things, I'll say, for the show.
Yeah. But this comes down to like, I just took on a couple of new clients and the first thing I did is I trimmed their food a little bit. And these are guys that train real hard. They're strong. They move big weights. But they came to me because they want to look like bodybuilders. They want to look more like bodybuilders. They want to do a show next year, that sort of thing. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get them some visible abs. Like so when Dusty says, that, staying too lean and stuff, if you can't see your abs at all, like if they're under inches, if they're under like a full inch of body fat, then you got to get that off because like it's going to make such a huge difference for everything. Your sleep, your training, your, how your body handles food, estrogen levels. Yeah. Everything's going to get better if you just, being too lean trying to stay too lean is a problem, and not realizing how fat you are is also a big problem for some guys. And they're like, I'm real strong. I move a lot of weight. I'm like, some of that weight is just leverage from fat and water, though. It's not real strength. Like, you should be able to have visible abs and still be strong. So like, don't kid yourself. You need to lose like 25 pounds. So 30 pounds even, so I've got some guys on some diets and they weren't expecting to be put on a diet. They're like, oh, it's like, want to die.
No, I want to get bigger.
I'm like, yeah, but this is like, you don't look like a bodybuilder yet. Like you need to look like a bodybuilder if you're going to do a show next year.
Yeah.
The first time I was 260, I did a show and I was 208 and I was not shredded.
Yeah.
So that's a case of I got to get big. I got to get big. And this was obviously way early before I got a lot of help, but that was just, I was watching the scale. And that's why as much as I know it's just a word, I hate the word bulking.
Yeah.
It hurts my soul.
Yeah.
I especially hate the word bulking when women use it. No, they just don't bulk, women. And they say it, and I'm not their coach, so I just go, yeah, okay. But don't bulk. Women shouldn't be bulking. Unless you're like an absolute ridiculous metabolism where you like, you know those people can eat anything and they're still like lean and stuff. But like most women should not be bulking. It's just too much work to get it off. Way too much work. You're setting yourself up for a brutal prep, and they do it every year.
I'm very glad to hear that portion because it's something that I know a lot of people have ran into. And I just had someone reach out and they were like, hey, I want to get, this was a while ago, I want to get ready for a show. And I said, well, I need to see where you are so I can make sure you're where I need you to be at 20 weeks out. I can't afford you right now. I'm going to reach out at 20 weeks out. Cool. Then they sent the pictures last week and I said, I can't have you ready in 20 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take money from you, but if you want to do what you say you want to do, which right now with Nikki's success and a couple of my other clients that have cranked as well, Ron, you know this, you're getting the same deal. People are like, I just want to do that. And I'm like, cool. Well, she started in August.
Right.
Yeah. 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 I started working with her like ages ago too.
Yeah, maybe September, but it's like, and they eased down. Basically, Nikki has been coming down since they started. There was months of a cheat meal every week, but she was on the same diet up until 20 weeks out the whole time. And then once it got into prep mode, another thing people go into, it's like she only had one air quote cheat meal. And it was just because it wasn't for her body or anything like that. And it just happened to be when we were in Vegas and Ron was at the table. She ordered a steak and like had a normal meal. But it's like, I think those types of things need to be understood. It's like, if you come to someone, you want to do a show with time. I mean, she was heavy. She was 5 years removed from bodybuilding. Like they needed every day they had, and they started immediately, so understand that if your coach is randomly just tossing in cheat meals during your prep and you're a long ways away, you're in trouble.
Yeah. And you shouldn't, again, we've been through this before, this whole, hey, when's my cheat meal? It's like, what do you mean? You've only been dieting for 9 weeks. I've done like, I've been into the teens before a Ceto would be like, okay, let's feed you up. See how you look. Let's do this and this and this. You should be so focused on getting shredded that, the whole where's my cheat meal thing just blows my mind. But you
can have a really good one the night of the show when it's over.
There you go.
But it's important. I just added that piece in because I think that right now, and I know Ron, you're getting a ton of it. It's like you only see in the very end. It's like, oh my God! It's like this was a long way in the making. And a slow process of discipline.
Nikki has absolutely busted her ass, and she's been ridiculously repetitive, and that's what most people can't handle. They look at Nikki and they're like, oh, what did you do? I'm like, me? I helped her with her diet, but like she's the one that's doing exactly the same thing every day for like 200 days.
Right.
It really is.
Like, I'm happy that she tags me in her pictures and stuff, but like she's done an immense amount of work. And people, they just don't get that part. But like the repetition and the not complaining, like there's a handful of clients right now that never complain, and Nikki's one of them. Like I've never, you know what I mean? It's just hilarious.
Yeah, lock in, have fun. That's what you signed up for.
Yeah. You're supposed to like this. You're supposed to think this is something you want to do. So don't complain about how repetitive it is.
Yeah.
The things I like to do, I can do them every day.
They don't complain like once they start getting worried as the show gets close. Like, I'll not have any cheat meals now. Be like, but that's what we needed to do 20 weeks ago.
Too late. Yeah. Too late.
Yeah. Let's really lock it down.
Yeah. Dusty,
Classic.
I feel like you guys, that your dogs replace having kids. The way that Rich and you guys talk about your dogs, that's the way I get the feeling of myself as a parent. So it's not a question, it was more of a comment, but I'm turning it into a question.
Yeah, there's probably an element to that. I mean, I can't speak for Dusty, but I mean, you know, we never had kids. We never really talked about wanting them. We never really felt like there was something that we wanted to pursue. It was sort of like, you know, if I got one past the goalie by accident, I guess that would be something we'd deal with, but that just never happened. And, you know,
you have Swayman in that, man. You're good. There's a Boston comment. There you go. No, actually, it's funny because I think a lot of people do that because you do need, like, I feel that there is a value to having something, since it's not human, to take care of. And also, you know, something to look forward to. I mean, I don't know how, like, when our dogs are at the vet, or I'm sorry, not the vet, like getting the groomer, and I come home, I'm like, this house sucks. Like, why is Harvey not meeting me at the door? Yeah, like literally. Yeah, I'm like, wait, I'll call the groomer. I'm like, so how long again? I gotta get these dogs back here. My house is dead. So yeah, no, I cannot imagine a life without a dog in the house. No way. I got another one coming. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. All right, rapid fire in a couple of these. Dusty, have you ever thought about doing a handlebar mustache?
Absolutely not.
Okay. When is Mutant going to restock their apparel? Apparently a few things are out right now.
We're making some more stuff with a different shirt as we speak. There will be my shirts, the Train Like Hell shirts, and a couple others on the site very shortly.
Very nice. Wrong question. We'll get back to that one. What about peaking for multiple shows? Say there's 2 weeks between shows. What would food, training, and drug protocols, we'll just say food and training protocols, look like?
There we go. Like, I cleaned that one up. That's actually really simple. 2 weeks is a perfect buffer. The thing that makes that a problem is what people do the night of and the day after a show. We'll decide how hard that is. If you literally just do your carb up, you know, rotation and get back on your diet on Sunday, it's nothing. It's easy.
Yeah, 2 weeks is nice.
You don't even need a meal. I think it's one thing. It's not that you can't, but I do think people need to get the idea out that they need a meal. 2 week show.
Yeah.
Like a prime example that I have to list real quick, and you said rapid fire, I'm about to ruin it. Roden, I don't know if it was the year he won I think it was the year he won the Olympia. So he wins the Olympia, and they're going to go compete in like 2 weeks. He had a bran muffin. That was his big thing after winning the Olympia. He's like, all right, back Chris. On plan. And he called Chris and asked him, can I have a bran muffin? Chris is like, sure. He eats a muffin, back on the diet. Like, I do think people should understand there's a value to that, and it is fun after the 2 weeks to go, dude, I didn't even cheat after my show. I'm psychotic. It's amazing.
All right.
So I have a little story to tell.
Yes.
I didn't tell either one of you guys, but we've had a bit of an adventurous couple of weeks with Jedi. We had a very stressful, close call, and he was not feeling well. He had an unrelated stomach issue, and we took him to the vet.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, I think he just ate something. He should be all right." But then while he was there, she did a full checkup, and she did the finger up the butt, and she found a lump. And we were like, "Oh shit!" And she took him in the back, stuck the needle in there, took a sample. They called us the next day, and they said he's got cancer, anal gland cancer. And we were like, "Okay, what do we do? Let's go." You know me.
Yeah.
I'm like, Day one. You've now ignited a fuse. What's the next step? And she goes, well, we got a radiologist coming in a few days. Bring him in. We'll scan his lymph nodes, look at his chest, see what we see. Okay. She said the good news is his blood work is perfect. So if we would have just looked at his blood work, we would not know he had cancer, which means it's probably stage 1.
Right. Nice.
So because the calcium levels spike when they get cancer, right? So we rushed him in a couple days later, went and saw the radiologist, x-rayed his chest, scanned his lymph nodes. They're like, well, it looks like the cancer is about the size of a pea. It's on one of his anal glands, and his lymph nodes are clear. His lungs are clear. His organs all look completely fine, and his blood work is still mint.
Excellent.
So booked the surgery. 5 days later, he's in. Boom. Put him out, kept him for the night, took the anal gland out, scraped some tissue around that. He's home now. He's completely fine. He's recovering much faster than
there he is.
But
man of the hour.
I'll show you his funny haircut.
Yeah.
I got to show you his funny haircut. He's got the shaved butt. He's got the shaved butt.
Poor guy.
But he's doing great. He's doing
That
great.
boy Jed.
Aw.
And he doesn't know. He never felt shitty at all. He's just on a couple of pain pills a day right now, but he's being really good. So we're just at home with him a lot. He's got to wear the cone when we go to bed so he doesn't get to his stitches. But his wound is healing. His wound is healing like super fast. They told us it would be 2 weeks. Yeah, just cranking him full of growth and BPC.
Yeah.
Getting him hard with peptides. Thanks, Dave. So yeah, she said she went in. She said that the tumor was actually smaller than she thought. She thought it was the size of a pea, and it was a little smaller than that.
Nice.
But it was pretty close to his rectum wall. So she scraped some tissue away from that, and they sent that away for a sample. Uh-huh. So we'll find out in about 2 weeks. But she said that it was so small, she's pretty confident that it had not, because that's a bad cancer. Anal gland carcinoma can really spread. It goes lymph nodes, lungs really quick, right? But she said that she thinks that was an incredibly early and lucky catch.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And the only way she found it was because we happened to take him in because he, had some food poisoning. He had an upset stomach for a little too long, so we took him to the vet.
Okay.
And unrelated, obviously, but it was a real fluke that we caught it. And so that was our little stressful 2.5 weeks that we kind of just were dealing with ourselves. And we figured because he's doing so well, we'd show you the funny haircut. So it was a little.
I like the haircut.
I'm glad he's doing good, man. I'm glad he's recovering.
That haircut is what I'd look like with the mustache you asked about, handlebar. Just so you know.
Yeah. Same. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that up on the show. If any of you have dogs and you're going through that stuff, I know how stressful it is and how hard it is. And I know we're very dog friendly on this show. So I just thought it, bring that up and make sure that you guys know what was going on. So
perfect segue for next week's show.
There we go. What's going on next week, Dusty?
Next week, we have Duke and Stephanie from the Powerful Rescue. I can't say it. I never can say
me
it.
too.
That's
I have a hard time.
PW, for those who can't understand my mouth, it doesn't work. Coming on the show, but they're going to, obviously, the rescue we're going to talk about. But I really wanted to have them on because one of the things that I think a lot of people don't understand is how to balance business, life, all these things in bodybuilding. And these are truthfully the two busiest people I know, and they both do all of it. They have jobs, they have the rescue, and they bodybuild. And I'm like, so I just texted them. I said, hey, I hear you guys are having a little bit of a break from life and one less thing to do. I'd like to add it back. Can you guys come do the show? So they were nice enough to join, and I'm really looking forward to having them on. So if you have questions for them, please bomb them in here, and we will obviously give those a little extra attention.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it too. I'm afraid to go visit dog rescues because I'm afraid I'll come home with 10 dogs. That's,
right?
You know what I mean? Jed needs that friend and that friend and that friend. And, so, but yeah, I know they do a lot of crazy work. I follow their page. They're really out there as far as like some of those American rescues, they got all those, don't they go to ball games and they go to everything with their dogs and they really.
Oh yeah, they had some, again, because of what they do. I don't know. I wish I knew the lady's name, but they'll get into it. But they actually do work with the local team there. I don't know which one it is. I'm not going to speak, but where they actually like sell calendars, and they came out on the field and took pictures of the players. It was awesome. So we'll cover that since I just butchered the hell out of it.
Yeah, all good. We'll have fun with them. I like that stuff. Anyways, back to some regular scheduled programming. Scott, do we have any more questions?
I had one more. This is just a personal question, and it was something I was curious of. It's story time again. What was
Ron story.
The fastest you've ever driven or been in the passenger seat of? It could have been any time in your life. I'm just curious to know, and we don't condone speeding at home, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Not too crazy. The fastest I ever went was 200 kilometers an hour.
Is that 160?
What's that for Americans?
Yeah. That's 125 miles an hour.
125. Okay.
Yeah. And it was in a Camaro. And we were going down a hill on a highway. So
That's
we were just
awesome.
cranked out on a highway, and we got to the top of this big hill.
Yeah.
And we started down the hill, so we just started ripping. And I was in the passenger seat, and I remember thinking, do I say something or do I just die?
Just die. You just die.
And my friend, who was driving, not joking, one hand on the wheel, laughing, probably had Def Leppard cranked.
Yeah.
He put a handful of sunflower seeds in his mouth while we were going down the hill.
Oh my God.
He was just like, to him, it was nothing. And to me, I was like, look cool, don't panic.
Like, when was
Panicking
this? This wasn't last year, right? I assume this was a while
this
ago.
was back in the 90s.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, the good old 90s.
Good old 90s, yeah.
I thought the boldest part of that story was the fact that he did a whole handful of sunflowers. Like,
Yeah.
how do you get the seeds separate anyway?
I was thinking that too. I was wondering the same thing, Dusty.
He was one of those
You
renegades.
derailed my whole. I was like, wait, what are we talking about?
Spits
The
them out the
whole
window at
handful?
100 miles an hour.
Again, not crazy, but when I was not crazy stupid is what this is. But my first car was actually a motorcycle, because in Arizona you could drive alone sooner.
Oh.
And I had a Gixxer when I was 15 and a half. And so that was, you get on a road. There was an area which now doesn't exist. That's not homes now, but where there was about a 2-mile stretch on this farmland where everything was cut down, where you could see going. And I pushed that thing. I don't know how fast. It was at least 120 when I was like, not quite 16 years old, because you're not thinking about like what could go wrong if like a pebble were to be in the road. You know what I mean?
Pebble,
You're just
like a mile away. You know what I'm saying?
But
it's
it's one of those things you had to do. And it was the same thing when the first time my mom let me drive her Z06. It was like, I'm driving from Vegas to Utah, and there's an area where you come up through a mountain, and I realized there's no way a cop can be here. I gotta know. So you just find out. And it was fun. It is fun to drive like that, but I do think that where people miss out on is the enjoyment of driving at a fast speed in a car that's not really safe to do it in. Like, I don't think it's really that crazy. I mean, do it in an Oldsmobile. That's freaking crazy.
I got my Mini up to about 115, and that was on the freeway, and there was no traffic. Like Sunday morning going to the gym, and there's this exit from 275 going on to 696, and it's a big long curve from one freeway to the next, and I just put it all the way down and just picked up, and that was the fastest I ever personally drove. And then I remember as a kid, I don't know how fast we went, but I was at a house where we were having a party, and then it was like the main side street. Okay. So it's the side street where like you're going to cross a main road to get to my house, and you're going to have to go through about 5 stop signs. I was probably like 1 mile away. Okay. And I asked Dave, who we called Skinny. Dave was a really big, heavy set guy, but we called him Skinny. I was like, hey, Dave, can you give me a quick ride home? And he was like, yeah, no problem. He had the Mustang 5.0. This is like before they changed the body type in the early 90s. It would have been like
so it was a boxy model.
Yeah, it was like probably like a 91, like right at the end then, 90, something like that. And it was a 5.0. And now this is the same guy that we drove. He had his Ford Tempo before that. And we did like a 360. He was a terrible driver. I remember we were going to a bonfire party, and he was driving crazy, and the whole car did like a 360 in the snow. And I'm just like, whoa. So I should have known better than to get in the car with him. But I don't know how fast we went. And this is like 3:00 in the morning. He did not stop at a single stop sign. He didn't even take his foot off the gas through the light. Like, we passed like several stop signs to get to my house. Like I said, 1 mile away. We got to my house in like 30 seconds. Like, I felt like we traveled in time. Like, I didn't even have a chance to like settle in.
Object.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Maybe he was like telling me he didn't want to give me a ride in the future. You know what I'm saying?
In
like,
fairness, you did say, and I quote, "Can you give me a ride real quick?"
Yeah.
And he
like,
did.
Yeah.
Skinny said, "You know what? Yes, I can. Real quick."
I'll never forget that ride, man. That was so insane. Like, I would have never done that in my life. But I thought about that because I think I sent it to you a while ago. These guys that are in New York, Speed Benz.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
going
yeah,
famous
yeah.
now. And they're running from the cops intentionally. And they're getting away from helicopters and stuff and, like, you know, high-end supercars and hypercars and all that stuff. It's wild.
That's always the worst, though. Like, not to dampen the situation, but when I played hockey, a friend of mine, we had a basically the long story short is he went home and didn't tell his mother. We were supposed to be unavailable. He was surprising her, and there was a high-speed chase in Arizona, Gilbert. I can't remember which city it was in, and he got T-boned by the cop chasing someone and died while he was. Because that was going on. And so now it's like when I see kids doing that stuff, I'm like, I know you don't know.
Yeah.
But shit. Like, that's because that's not what you're thinking about. You know what I mean? So when you look now, I'm like, there's a hell of a call. Your son's been in an accident. No, he hasn't. He's not here. Actually, he was surprising you.
Awesome.
Yeah. There was just a head-on collision in Toronto. I can't remember what the guy stole. He might have been in an ambulance or a tow truck. I can't remember.
Oh, whoa.
But he was going down the wrong side of the highway, and the cops were chasing him down the wrong side of the highway. Like, they kept pursuing him.
Huh.
And they were on, like, you know, the shoulder, and everyone saw them coming and was moving over. And he was just flying, and the cops were continuing to pursue. And now that's the big debate, is should the cops have been pursuing him? He robbed something. I can't remember exactly the story. Someone might be correcting me, but I think he robbed a liquor store.
Yeah.
And he was in a stolen vehicle, and he hit a car and killed a family. And so now there's all these people saying, well, cops shouldn't chase anyone anymore. We should just let them go.
They do a lot of times now, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they
do a lot of times. I do know that part to be true. That's but it's one of those scenarios where it's kind of like you know, when the coach makes a bold move in a game and he's an idiot if it doesn't work, and it's the story of stories when it does. I don't think they're necessarily like, I think adrenaline has to take a role, and they're in this mess, and someone needs to step in and go, guys, we're going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Just let this one roll. Like, the odds of this going terrible are through the roof.
Or is it going to be like we have to stop him because he's going the wrong way and he's endangering other people? You know, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's why I'm not a cop to be yelled at in those scenarios. Because, I mean, like I said, it would have been fine if they caught him.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, so yeah, it's a terrible subject. But yeah, that's wild to me that those things go on. It's like, because I saw another one, Scott, where the guy's pretending that his vet was stolen, the Corvette. And he was purposely getting away from cops. They finally got him. And then the best part is when they got him, he had like drugs in the car and all these. I'm like, I don't think you're going to be doing any more videos. Not to mention you're posting them. I'm like, how they cannot just follow back? I don't know.
Yeah.
He was just in a van. He was just in a big van. That's what he was saying. But yeah, killed 4 people.
I watched an interview with Speed Benz and this other crew. They call themselves the swim team. And I was surprised by how level-headed they are. And they were like, yeah, no, I understand if I were to, you know, hurt somebody, I would definitely deserve to go to prison for that. And you know, I really hope that never happens, you know, and there will be a day that I have to stop doing this. And I understand that it's like, but it's almost like, I think, an addiction. You know what I mean?
But the YouTube hits are just off the chain.
That and the actual doing it, both of, you know, the combo. And they were like, we want to turn this into a business. and parlay that into something else and eventually kind of wrap this up. But it's crazy that they can do it, and it's all online, right? People are tuning in.
That's a wild
they've
part.
got millions of followers, but the police can't catch up with them. Yeah,
It seems like you could just follow where the money goes from the YouTube account.
You would think, right?
I know that if YouTube wanted to tell somebody who I was, they would just, that's his bank account. So there you go.
They just
That's
drop a dime on you so quick.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what I
very
mean?
fast process. It's like, those things always blow me away when people do that. I'm like, see, this seems kind of like when your kid lies to you about something, that like when you catch them, you're like, this was going to come out. It had to.
Right.
There was no way around this ending. Like
the bank account had your name on it.
It's kind of like when I laugh when like people get busted with large amounts of like drugs, or like back in the day with the bodybuilding supplements when they're making all these supplements. Once they're knocking on your door, they've had you for years.
Yeah.
Like literally, I remember when everything went down with some of the companies with the pro hormones.
Yeah.
When it all came out, they were having these companies ship things to them for 2 years.
Whew.
They were just letting them they were just adding the rope and pulling it tighter and tighter and tighter. And then by the time they knocked on the doors, like they weren't asking. They already knew everything. They were just, we're here to finish this up now. So
yeah, letting you take your hole deeper every year.
Yeah. I remember when YouTube first became a thing. There was a like kind of the first case I remember was this guy in Japan bought a new Ferrari, and he had a cam set up showing his dash, and he was flying down the highway like just thrill driving.
Yeah,
and the Japanese police saw the video, and they're like, and they just went and arrested him, took his driver's license away for life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They're like, you're done completely. We're not messing around with this. You can't own a car. You can't drive. Done.
Wild.
And he got some jail time and everything, because he was doing like 300 kilometers an hour. Like, it was this crazy brand new Ferrari. So, yeah. No messing around.
There you go.
All right. That was a story I'd been wanting to hear for a while. I figured you guys both had something. Because I knew you rode motorcycles, Dusty, and I figured Ron's always got a story. So I'm satisfied.
Hey, Dusty, looking off screen. Okay, is that it, guys?
That's it.
Okay, look forward to next week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for your comments on the reaction videos. Those are so fun to do, and I love seeing the reaction. The Rich video. A lot of people saying, oh, man, now I got to go down memory lane. Yeah, I got to watch all these again. Oh, my God, I'm on Alex's channel. Now I got to find all these videos. So that's pretty cool, and it was fun to tell those stories and just kind of look at that old footage, because that was a hell of an era. So if you haven't seen the Rich reaction video, go check it out. Those are really like they're how do we put it? What do you guys think of the reaction videos? They're totally different than our normal episodes for me.
Laid back, entertaining. They're not, they're just for education, or they're just for entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're having a good time.
Versus check them out. You'll learn a lot of deep stuff here on this show.
For the same thing. Got it.
Yeah.
Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
IamMutant.com. Get your ISO surge, get your all in. Everyone should get on the gear. Dusty 20, Big Ron 20. And also, don't remember, West Coast Irons web shop is open. WestCoastIronOnline.com. So if you want some merch, we got a bunch of merch up now. More to come. Thanks for the support, everybody. Okay, guys. Until next time, remember, it's just bodybuilding.